Copy this SEO strategy and you will actually see meaningful growth with it, and your business will explode. It's the same strategy I have used to help over 50 B2B companies break free from relying on paid ads and build a pipeline of qualified leads that come to them long term. Like Avayo, a workplace management software, we helped grow their organic pipeline by over 500% in under a year. So let me take you through a step-by-step process on how you can implement this strategy for your own B2B SaaS business. So here in front of us, we have Avayo as a client of ours. They're a workplace management software, great product, great positioning. And we started working with them in January 2025. So they had roughly 14 monthly visitors coming in organically, only 2 keywords in top 3, 164 keywords in total. All of this traffic was coming from branded. Today we sit at around 1.5K monthly traffic with over 80 keywords ranking in top 3. And we can also see that the AI overviews mentions have been increasing month over month. I've always said traffic should be like a secondary KPI because in many cases it is a vanity metric. In this case, like if we dissect this traffic, you will see no top of funnel, which is crazy because you'll only see like product related queries. So people that are actively Googling this are in the lookout for our client's product, which is essentially how you should use SEO. So here we have meeting room booking software, meeting room technology, conference room technology, parking management system, office space management software, etc., etc. So these are all great keywords. Obviously, they are not like super search volume heavy, but they convert 10 times higher than what top of funnel converts. So these searchers are problem aware and they are solution aware. So they have a problem which they want to solve. They know there's a tool where you can solve that problem. In this case, for instance, meeting room booking software, or maybe not even a problem. It could be a desired outcome they want to get to. But they know that, okay, meeting room booking software is the tool that will help me reach that specific outcome. So these people are like, they have budget, they have timeline. Their task is to shortlist a few vendors and then pick the one that best fits their business. And if you're not visible for these kinds of keywords, you're losing visibility where it actually matters. You should always dissect that traffic and understand, okay, where is this traffic coming from? Is it first and foremost the right countries? Is it the right kind of keywords? You can quickly see based on the keywords what kind of people you are generating, like attracting to your website. So it's only because of this we essentially managed to drive this number of booked demos, sales qualified leads. These are pulled from GA4, and you can see that prior to working with them, we didn't see any conversions at all coming in organically. We started pushing out content heavily, so we did our bottom-up approach in January, and we also started doing outreach to acquire some authoritative high-quality links. And we saw some super positive early results coming in from that. Already in February, we could see a bunch of leads coming in, which were also very high quality. So these are sales qualified leads, meaning this is their ICP. We saw high growth startups, high growth companies in general. We saw enterprises as well. So this quickly gave us proof of concept that we can use SEO as a channel to acquire high quality leads for this particular industry. And then throughout the year, we just started seeing like the accumulative benefits of SEO, meaning we pushed out new content and our previous content started ranking, climbing up, and also being more visible in AI. And this quickly translated into demos booked and high quality leads. And throughout 2025, we saw in total 159 booked demos. So this is essentially what separates revenue driven SEO with like traffic driven SEO. So either you build like a revenue engine with SEO, or you build a very costly traffic engine from SEO. Although Avayo, for instance, you see the number 1.5K, you might think, okay, this is not a lot of monthly traffic. I want 200K. However, it all depends on which keywords you decide to target. So what kind of visitors do you want? Do you want visitors that consists of your ideal customer profile and are on the last third of their buying journey? Or do you want visitors that are doing generic research, So obviously, like, SEO requires time and resources, so you might as well spend the time and resources in order to generate leads and not only traffic, because traffic is becoming less and less important in the day of AI, because that informational content is being replaced by AI. Now, before I show you the exact process, you need to understand also why traditional SEO is broken for B2B SaaS companies, because most companies focus on high volume. They'll tell you, let's rank for project management best practices. It gets 30k searches per month. But these keywords have three major issues. They are very competitive, so you're competing against companies with very high domain authority, big brands, and then they attract tire kickers, so not buyers. Most people searching like broad tofu terms are just researching, not buying. And then AI is eating all this traffic. So ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. are answering these questions without sending traffic to your site. But here's what changed everything for us and what we did for Avayo. We started targeting bottom of the funnel keywords only. Category keywords, competitor keywords, best tools for specific use case keywords, and these keywords have three massive advantages. First and foremost, they are lowering competition. So we're talking keyword difficulties of 20 to 40 instead of 80 plus. High buyer intent, someone searching for alternatives or category keywords are ready to buy. AI platforms cite these pages because comparisons and bottom of the funnel content requires nuanced, up-to-date information that LLMs must reference. So let me show you exactly how we do this step by step. So the very first step in finding high intent keywords actually isn't opening a keyword research tool. There is a critical step before that, one that most teams completely skip, and that's gathering customer intelligence. Because before you even touch a keyword research tool, you need to understand exactly how your buyers and prospects actually behave, meaning you need to identify their search patterns and their search behavior. And who knows this better than anyone? Your sales team. Your sales reps are actively in the field speaking to prospects every single day. They're hearing all the objections. They know which competitors get mentioned most frequently, and critically, in what context those competitors come up. They understand the exact problems your prospects are trying to solve and which of those problems your tool actually addresses. And this intelligence is gold because it tells you not just what people are searching for, but why they are searching for it and when in their buying journey they're doing that search. And that's what separates high intent keywords from vanity metrics. So before you jump into Ahrefs or SEMrush, spend time with your sales team. That conversation will guide everything that comes next. And that's what we do at Exceed. We run these interviews as a first step into each collaboration. And it's a very structured template we run, and I will drop this in the description too, so you can set up the interview and ask these questions. But it's essentially three categories. So identifying the best customers, where we talk about who are the best. Is the sales team seeing any patterns among customers who pay the most, stay the longest, etc.? Then we'll go into understanding pain points and challenges. We ask them to describe the typical pain points or challenges that leads to prospect to seek out the solution. What alternative options did they evaluate? Why did they end up choosing clients, in our case, our client, over competitors, etc.? And also this, which specific product features or aspects of the product do customers find most valuable? So this is a gold mine of information that's not going to just fuel your SEO strategy and SEO content, but across all the campaigns you run, so paid, etc. And once you've recorded this interview, you can just pull the transcript out. You can upload it to Claude and run a very simple prompt, which we've done in this case. Once you have those transcripts, you want to identify the seed keywords. So you ask prompt to show you. I've attached a real transcript, which we had with Avayo, the example I showed you previously. And here you will see a bunch of valuable seed keywords. So which are the categories you should target with your SEO content? So here we have workplace management systems, desk booking software, room booking system, hybrid work management. You have problem focused keywords, role-specific keywords, feature-specific keywords, comparisons, which competitors should we go after, pain point keywords. So this is a great starting point. So with these seed keywords, we created this spreadsheet, a very comprehensive keyword research spreadsheet that is based on the different categories we have identified through these seed keywords. And then you're going to use these keyword research tools. Let's say you're using SEMrush. I always recommend to verify the search volume on Google Ads Keyword Planner, because that's way more accurate than SEMrush in terms of data accuracy. So here you can pull out a bunch of variations of these seed keywords. You can also find long tail seed keywords. So let me show you an example, for instance. So let's say we want to, based on the transcript, we found some interesting seed keywords. Let's say room booking system, or let's say hot desking system, for instance. So we go to SEMrush, we go to the keyword overview, we add in the seed keywords. Here you'll see, okay, 970 monthly searches. What I would then recommend is looking into the keyword variations. So can we find more specific keywords than the seed keyword? Because the seed keyword is just a starting point. It is shorter, it's going to be more competitive. So that means you're not going to be able to rank for it with just one page and that's it. This is going to act more as a pillar page where you create more supporting articles that consists of different variations of this keyword. So once we start looking into the keyword ideas, you're going to find some more specific and interesting keywords. So for instance, hot desk booking software with Slack integration. That's an excellent keyword. In this case, the tool integrates with Slack. So that's a great way to find some more interesting keyword opportunities, and this is going to be based on pure first-hand insights from the sales team. So I recommend doing it this way. Once you have exhausted the keywords you found from this, I would recommend into doing like a brief competitive spy, which I call it. So you add in a specific competitor. So you look into the traffic, you see, okay, which keyword are they ranking for? Obviously they have a big brand, so a lot of it is coming through branded searches. But what you're looking for is bottom of the funnel keywords. So I would first and foremost check those where they are not within the top, like the first page of Google. That means it's untapped opportunities. So they might not have like seen that they can rank for that keyword, and they haven't created like a standalone page for that specific keyword. So that tells you, okay, one of the biggest competitors is not going after the keyword, so the competition might be lower. I'll also look into 20, or let's add 30 in terms of keyword difficulty, and then just add software. So here you'll find a bunch of low competition, interesting keyword ideas by looking into competitor domains. So space management software, interesting one, hybrid work software, etc., etc. So here we have a bunch of ideas, and just to show you how we structure our keyword research. So we add in based on like the interviews we run, all the keyword variations we find, and also do the competitor spying. And we essentially bracket these into three main categories. So category keywords, which is just describing the category which you operate in. Then we have competitor keywords and middle of the funnel keywords. Then it comes down to shortlisting. So once you have a bunch of keyword ideas, you want to prioritize accordingly. So we look at three core factors we use as filters. So first and foremost, we look at business relevancy. So how relevant is this to the business, the product? You want to target keywords which are very relevant. Then you also look into the search volume, and then you also look into the competitive landscape. All right, so now that we have our keyword research, we need to create content that actually ranks and converts, because that's the whole purpose, right? So the first thing, you need to decide what content type are you going to create. Is it going to be a landing page? Is it going to be a blog post? Or is it going to be a listicle, for instance? So the first step is to analyze the search engine results. So you go to Google, type in the keyword, and see what's actually ranking. In 95% of the cases, what you see ranking on Google's first page, that means that's what the user is actually looking for. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're going after best project management software. You type the keyword on Google, you look at the first page, and you see a bunch of listicles, so software roundups. dominating the real estate. That's a huge sign telling you, okay, I should probably create a listicle because that's the content format the searcher is actually looking for. But if you see landing pages dominating instead, you might be better off creating a landing page to align with what the user wants. And here's the thing, in a lot of these bottom of the funnel searches, the user is actually looking for a list of multiple providers. So they want to read through the options and understand which provider best suits their needs and which one fits their specific business situation. And once you've done that and you know which content format you're going to go with, then it's time to actually create the content that ranks and converts. And this is where most companies and agencies fail, because they create thin generic comparisons that provide zero value to the reader. All right, here's a quick example where I want to show you the patterns you might see on the search engine results page. So here I've added a competitor keyword, HireFlix. So it's one of our clients' competitors. And here you can quickly see that, all right, our client is being mentioned by AI overviews. We're also being cited and we have the #1 spot. So this is the real estate you want to acquire, because as soon as you type in the keyword, what you realize or see mostly of is the brand Willow, which is our client's brand. And when we started digging deeper into the search engine results, we only looked for patterns. So what is the content type that is most frequently surfaced, right? You want to see patterns because, as I said, the algorithm is so advanced. So in 95% probably of the cases where it show you certain things on the search engine results, that's based on large amounts of data. It's based on engagement. So the more people are engaging with certain articles, the higher are the probabilities that these pieces will rank at the top. And here people tend to engage more with listicles, so software roundups, having multiple providers on a list, and obviously positioning yourself as the top provider, but you want to make sure that you are also very objective and don't bash your competitors. Anyway, so for this particular query, we noticed quickly that, all right, we have a listicle here, another listicle. Obviously, these are third-party review sites, but still another listicle, another one. So listicles for this particular query are dominating the search engine results. So that should tell you that, all right, a listicle is actually the main content format that is performing for this particular keyword, because searchers or prospects are looking for a list of vendors. They want to read through and review. They don't want to see a landing page where you only talk about your software, because that's not necessarily what they're looking for. Like, you have to jump between 5 to 10 landing pages in order to compare all of those, and each and every landing page is written in isolation, whereas for a listicle you already have that list. So if we go into this article, for instance, obviously you have the introduction that is really focusing on the pain points. So why are you potentially looking for a HireFlix alternative? And then we provide them the list of softwares as soon as possible, and then also a comparison table. And this drives engagement, because you want to keep the time to value as short as possible in your articles, because otherwise you'll have higher bounce rates. So you want to reduce the time to value, and you want to combine all the providers that are relevant to these prospects that are looking to move out of HireFlix in this case. And then another tip, which I'm not seeing a lot of people and agencies and marketing teams do, is obviously you're going to put yourself at the top of that list, but you want to capture way more real estate on this article where you position your product compared to your competitors, right? So here's an example. Look how much we go in depth with Willow. We provide a demo video. We go through different features and functionalities, how Willow stands out, etc., etc. It's almost like giving them a mini demo before they even decide to opt in for a demo. And then when we look at competitors, it's very short, concise, and we don't sell the platform for them. We want to sell our platform and not necessarily our competitors. The reason being is that people are not reading the whole article. Most of the times they're probably reading around 40%, and during that 40% you want to obviously have the introduction and make sure that you can display, like show to the reader that you actually understand their situation, but then you want to talk about your product, and not just about your product in silos, but rather how your product helps them. And you want to capture most of that 40% with your own positioning. Now let's let's talk about technical SEO. Obviously, technical SEO is an important aspect of the SEO strategy. However, it can very quickly become a rabbit hole. So I've seen it so many times where teams are spending 6 months, 7 months trying to optimize technical details that don't really matter in terms of your SEO success. So here are the most fundamental things we always check, because we want to make sure that the technical SEO does not hold us back from achieving the rankings we're trying to achieve. So the first one is the page. Are they getting indexed? Because if they don't get indexed, the whole distribution falls apart and Google can't rank what it can't see. So always make sure to check if your pages are getting indexed. Then it comes down to crawl budget optimization. You want to make sure that the crawlers are allocating the budget accordingly. So the important pages that you want to be visible for, you want to make sure that the crawler allocates budget to those pages. And let me give you an example here. So we work with a client that is using HubSpot as their CMS, and each time they were publishing a page, HubSpot automatically generated a duplicate page, an AMP page, which in today's time is useless. So we noticed that these pages, which were in the hundreds, like 500 plus, were taking up a significant amount of the crawl budget. So we quickly went into the robot.txt file, which is essentially the file where you tell Google, okay, don't crawl these pages. And we added in these AMP pages, and the crawler started allocating the budget way more effectively. So previously, when we had all of these AMP pages, if we updated a blog, it would take maybe 1 to 2 weeks for the blog to be crawled again. But today it takes less than a day. So always make sure that the crawl budget is being allocated in an effective way. Third one, core web vitals. So you want to make sure that your page is fast, your website is fast. You want to keep the loading time under 3 seconds, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good your content is. If the page is slow, people will bounce. That signals that Google acts on quite swiftly. So engagement rate should be high, bounce rate should be low, and fast loading times is a big part of that. Then you have the schema markup. You want to make sure that you also tell Google in the back end, this is what the pages is about, because that's essentially how Google communicates. Like, it doesn't read your article word by word. It checks the code in the back end to understand what the page is about, and schema will help the crawler understand that. Then we have the internal linking structure, which is not necessarily technical SEO. I would categorize it as on-page SEO, but it's still important to have a sophisticated internal linking structure. So you have topical clusters, you have a pillar page, and then you have a bunch of supporting articles with a solid internal linking structure. And you just do this by following this technical audit checklist, I would say. So you check indexing either on Google Search Console, or you add this to the Google search engine. So site, your domain to see exactly which pages are indexed and visible on Google. You check your robot.txt files. You see that there are no important pages on the robots.txt files, which you actually want to be visible for. And then you also check whether or not you have no index tags on any of your important pages, because these two are the main reasons why a lot of pages are not being indexed by Google. Then you optimize the title tags, you add the schema, you make sure you have a solid internal linking structure, and then you can move on to content creation, because at the end of the day, the goal isn't perfection, right? The goal is to remove these blockers so Google can see and rank your content. And for a lot of B2B SaaS companies, like, the technical SEO is fine already. And you should ask yourself these main questions, like, is the technical SEO preventing Google from crawling my pages? Is my site completely broken on mobile? Are pages taking more than 10 seconds to load? And if the answer is no, I would say in most cases you are done with a lot of the technical SEO, and you can move on to the highest priority, which is essentially creating content that actually drives pipeline. Now, here's where this gets really powerful. Most companies create 2 to 3 bottom of the funnel pages and call it a day. We create 25 to 50 in the first 6 months. Because when you publish one comparison page, you might rank for 10 to 20 keywords approximately. When you publish 10 interconnected comparison pages, you start ranking for dozens of keywords because Google starts seeing you as an authority on this topic cluster. And when you publish 30 plus pages over 6 months, you dominate the entire competitive landscape. You rank for hundreds of long tail variations. So we work in 3-month sprints because we want to work in clusters and not create pages in silos. So for each month, we are already planning ahead, adding in the placeholder titles, adding in the target keywords and the topic, also the funnel stage, the content type, whether it's going to be a listicle or a landing page or a guide. And then we also add in the internal linking structure. This allows you to see the whole picture, because if you're only focused at one keyword at a time, you're going to miss out on a lot of internal linking opportunities and you might not build that cluster you want to build. Even the best bottom of the funnel content won't rank without authority, at least long term. You need backlinks to prove to Google and AI platforms that you're actually a trusted source. Think of backlinks like a job reference. If you're applying for a job and nobody will vouch for you, employers might get a bit skeptical, but if you got like 10 credible people saying, yeah, this person is legit, suddenly you're trustworthy. That's exactly how Google sees backlinks. They're references from other websites vouching for your credibility. So before you start building links, get a clear picture on what you're trying to achieve. If you want to boost keyword rankings, look for long tail keywords sitting in position 4 to 15. Improve the content first, optimize the on-page stuff, reindex it and see if it moves up. Then build a few quality links to push it to top 3. One of the fastest way to find links is to steal your competitors' links. I know it sounds very aggressive, but this tactics has worked forever. So let's say your competitor is Instantly, for instance. You enter the Instantly domain within SEMrush or Ahrefs. You go to backlinks. What you're looking to identify here essentially is broken pages. So here are a bunch of pages which Instantly had previously. Now they are broken, meaning they have been deleted, etc., etc. So this links to an Instantly blog, right? It has 124 backlinks. So if a publisher is willing to link to your competitor, they will likely be open to linking back to you because you share the same audience, or you probably create content with similar topics. You want to find these broken pages. So here you see a bunch of interesting publishers. All of these: OneFlow, Ring Central, Marketing Go, or maybe not this one. So I would obviously double check the quality of the link, but this is a fast way to find relevant publishers that are linking to your competitor, and there is a broken link which you can capitalize on. So this is one of many ways to shortlist relevant links within your category. And then once you've done that, so you can export this list into a spreadsheet, you find the right contact person. So you download extensions like hunter.io where you can use it quickly to get emails, or you can find the contact person on LinkedIn, and then it's about reaching out to the person. So here's a very simple template we usually use when it comes to broken links. So this is all about leading with value. So it's identifying a problem which this publisher has and coming with a solid solution. So it's a value exchange. They will be open to it, and in return you will get a high quality backlink. So here, look at the email. I was reading your article on topic and then noticed the link isn't working anymore, right? It's the broken links I was referring to. And then I actually just published a guide on this topic that covers specific value it provides. It might work well as a replacement, since brief reason why it's relevant to their audience. Here's the link if you want to check it out. Either way, thought you'd want to know about the broken link. So here we're not reaching out to them and saying, hey, can I have an article? Could you please link, like publish this article and link back to me? Then it's more a one-way kind of thing, right? That's at least in the publisher's minds. They're like, okay, I'm doing you a favor by just giving you a backlink. And usually, obviously, you want to shortlist as many of these links as possible, because initially the reply rates might be quite low. So you want to send quite a few emails in order to acquire those links. That's essentially what you do. You spy on your competitors in order to quickly find links. And as I mentioned before, when you look at the broken pages What you want to identify here as well is like, are any of these topics relevant? Like, have we written about this before? So let's say you are a competitor to Instantly. Have we created a lead qualification checklist? Because if you already have that asset, then the timing is perfect. You just reach out without having to create a particular piece. But if you see any topics which you might haven't created content for, I would look through the backlinks and see the reward of creating that piece of content. Meaning, should I allocate resources to create this piece of content based on the number of backlinks, but also the quality of these backlinks? So I would highly recommend going after backlinks with at least 40 to 50 domain authority, and they also have a very solid inflow of organic traffic, because then you can also get value out of that referral traffic. So in general, there are like two ways to get these links. So you either reach out organically, but it takes time and it requires some resources as well. The other part is paid placements. So this is obviously faster. Quality links will cost you anywhere between $200 to $2,500. So you can use the likes of PressWiz, where it's quite simple. You just sign up and then you can buy links. So it's quite easy. This is not the way we do it. We prefer to do it organically. But if you're short on time, but you have the budget, then PressWiz is an excellent way to acquire links fast. So the other aspect of it is also brand mentions. Like, you want to surface on as many listicles as possible, because these are the most cited sources for ChatGPT and other LLMs. So when you type in what is the best Instantly alternative on ChatGPT, it will hit the default search, and then it will scan the web and go through as many sources as it can, and then pull out the brands that are surfaced the most throughout these different sources. I've been following this for quite some time, and what I've noticed is that listicles dominate the cited sources. So most of the times it just scans through a bunch of listicles and see which brands are most frequently mentioned. So you want to make sure that others are talking about you too, and not only yourself. And a great way to do it is to just enter the prompt. So what are the best Instantly alternatives? And here you will see a bunch of brands being mentioned, and then I would just scan through these sources. So here you see a listicle, here you see kind of a listicle, but a blog post rather. As you can see here in front of you, you just see a bunch of listicles that are being used as a source of information. So you want to reach out, so you want to shortlist these listicles, and you want to run the similar approach as you would do to traditional backlinks. So you want to reach out to the publishers, the person that is responsible for publishing these blogs within each company, and you want to have an interesting ID for them. So you want to lead with value. It's a value exchange, right? You can't just reach out to them and say, hey, can you include me in your software roundup? Because there's no win-win, right? So that's how you want to do. And this is why bottom of the funnel content is so valuable, because you're going to be ranking for a bunch of high intent keywords too, and you can use that as leverage in your outreach. So here is an example of a template you can use. So, nice to meet a fellow sales enthusiast. I'm planning to update one of our blogs on Lemlist alternatives, which is a piece we wrote for our clients, which is ranking position 3 globally. We add the link. I would recommend to not add the links, just to not go to spam, but let's continue. And thought about adding a few more platforms, including Sales Handy in this case, to make it more comprehensive. Would you be open to adding Chrono to this blog? So this is a win-win exchange. We're using our blog, which is ranking top 3 globally, as leverage in order to be included in their roundups. And you want to reach out to as many of these listicles as possible based on your shortlisting here. And you can also use ChatGPT Path, which is a Chrome extension. And when you run this, you will get a bunch of these sources, like more. So what these sources that you see here, as you can see, it's like 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2. So it's a bunch of sources. It's more than what's visually appearing here. So ChatGPT Path will essentially shortlist all of these sources for you. So you can just export them and reach out to the right point. point of contact. Now, beyond just chasing links, you should create stuff that people actually want to link to. Things like original research, case studies with real numbers, industry roundups, expert interviews, or free tools like calculators, AI plugins, that kind of thing. If you got the technical chops, build your own Chrome extension or AI tool. People love linking to useful tools. But here's where you can really think bigger. Create your own events. Build a community around your brand, get into sponsorships and partnerships. These create natural opportunities for links while you're building something meaningful. And my advice, pick one tactic that feels doable and go all in on it. Don't spread yourself thin trying to do everything. And one last thing, and this is important, keep at least 40% of your link anchors branded. If you stuff too many exact match keywords in there, Google's going to slap you for it. We track these 3 core metrics for every bottom of the funnel page we create. So the first one is keyword performance and AI visibility, where we monitor current ranking positions, search volume for the keyword, estimated traffic, and click-through rates as well. But here's what's changed. We also track visibility and AI overviews and other AI platforms because attribution has become so messy because of AI. People might see your brand mentioned in ChatGPT or AI overviews and then search for you directly later through a branded search. So we're not just looking at rankings anymore, we're tracking whether you're showing up in AI-generated answers as well. When a page moves up in rankings or gets featured in AI results, you then see a direct correlation to traffic increases, and that's what we're watching for. And when it comes to engagement, which you should do, we should look at specific pages and track the engagement. For each page, we track page views, average time on page. We're targeting over 2 minutes here, bounce rates, which should be under 60%. We also track pages per session because we want to know if people click through to other pages. Our best pages have 3 to 5 minute average time on page and about 40 to 50% bounce rates, which is a healthy rate. This tells us that readers are engaging deeply with the content, which is essentially what we're trying to achieve. The third one is conversion performance, and this is the most important metrics. Here we track form submissions from the page, demo bookings attributed to it, free trial signups, and influenced pipeline, meaning they visited the page before converting elsewhere. Here's what we typically see. The top performing comparison pages drive a disproportionate amount of demo bookings compared to other content types. Once we identify the winners, we double down in 4 ways. First, we create 3 to 5 related comparison pages in the same category. Second, we build topical clusters around the winner with supporting blog content and case studies. And third, we acquire backlinks specifically to the high-performing pages. Fourth, we update and refresh every 3 to 6 months to keep them current. This is what a fully built on comparison content cluster looks like. Now, this is still the SEO strategy we implement for all of our clients at Exceed SEO. But the truth is, SEO is changing quickly with AI, and you need to understand what's coming next as we head deeper into 2026. Feel free to watch my next video where I break down the future of SEO in the AI era and lay out exactly what you need to do right now to stay ahead of your competitors and own your category. I'll see you there.